Hi, this is Sean D'Souza, and you're listening to the 3-Month Vacation Podcast. This podcast isn't some magic trick about how to work less. Instead, it's about how to really enjoy the work that you do and to enjoy your vacation time. Hi, it's Sean, and you're listening to the 3-Month Vacation. Have you ever wondered how many words a professional writer writes every day? Mark Twain averaged about 1,800 words a day. He then slowed down to about 1,400. And he'd do this for 4 to 5 hours. Ian McEwan is a bit on the modest side. He averages about 600 words per day and about 1,000 words when he's really in full flow. Others like P.G. Wodehouse and Stephen King, they're beasts. They turn out 2,000 words every single day. But notice what we're all paying attention to at this point. We're all hearing the term words per day, and we're assuming that's the right way to go. But really what should happen, what we should be counting, are the hours. We are focused on the output, but we should be focused on the process. Author Malcolm Gladwell talks about how writers set themselves up for disappointment. If I get up in the morning and I do my writing when I'm fresh, I should be able to accomplish what I need to accomplish by lunchtime. Writing is physically demanding, he says. It's tiring. And a few good paragraphs represent a good day's work. But notice what he's saying. While he does bring up the point of paragraphs, he's really not focused on the output itself. Instead, he focuses on the duration, which is morning to lunchtime. You're likely to have heard of Dan Brown, who's the author of The Da Vinci Code, and he talks about how he's at his desk every day at 4 a.m. There's no internet connection, no distractions in sight. And like most writers, he focuses on the process. Not most writers, actually, most professional writers. Focusing on the process. The process is about showing up and putting the hours required. But why do the hours matter? Brown says, let's say you wake up one day and you say, I'm going to write a page a day. And then you eventually wake up and you're in a great mood and you write the page in 1 hour. It means you're quitting just when you're having an astounding day. And when you're having a bad day, a tough day, you may go past the deadline. Instead of an hour, you might go for an hour and 15 minutes. And then when you look at it the next day, you find that it was a complete waste of time. But it's not a waste of time. Even if the output is terrible, you have put in that hour. Dan's process is about waking up at 4 a.m. and starting to write, and then going all the way to 11 a.m. And whatever happens, he says, you have to be gentle with yourself on the output, but be tough on the process. Which means that if you've decided to write your article or your report or your book, the word count becomes a dead weight. If I'm not having fun, guess what? I have to stay there, says Brown. And on the other hand, if you're having a great day, it's not a problem. But even on the good days, there comes a point where there is a point of diminishing returns. And that is, you're not able to function anymore. You get distracted. Things happen and you're writing not so well as you did earlier in the day or earlier when you started. We found the diminishing return concept to be true on the article writing course. As you're probably aware, we've been running this article writing course since around 2006. For the people doing this course, the writers, it's a gut-wrenching course and probably lives up to its slogan, the toughest writing course in the world. Because for 3 months, a prospective writer has to put in several hours a day on the course, even while they're living their life and managing their business. Yet, if you look at the assignment for the day, there's something very peculiar about the timing. Every assignment has a fixed amount of time allocated. Writing titles might require around 30 minutes. Outlining the article might require 30 minutes as well. And these are all stages of preparation. And it's relatively easier to get through this prep work. But the part where most of the attention needs to be paid is when the article itself is being written. The writers, they get a fixed amount of time, no more than 90 minutes. And they have to stop even if the article is incomplete. The reason for this time limit is because of this factor of diminishing returns. Let's take a situation where the writer spends 2 hours or 3 hours learning to write. That's between 50% to 100% more than everybody else. Guess who's going to be exhausted on the next day? Guess who's going to feel like a limp rag by the end of the week? And yes, guess who's going to hate the task of writing? And there's a reason for this. Past a certain point, all a learner can do is try and edit to make their work better. So they may spend 100% more time, and the article usually improves by 5% to 10%. After all, they're learning to write. They're not that good at editing. They don't know what to look for. They're spending all of this time needlessly trying to fix something that is very difficult to fix, and they don't have that capacity to fix. So they're spending all of that extra time, and they're just burning all that energy. But then there are writers that stick to the timelines rather than the word count. They don't worry so much about how many words they've covered, and they just go, okay, 90 minutes, the timer's gone, I have to stop. And they stop. And the ones that get into the most trouble, that seem to run into this trouble all the time, that dread their writing, they're the ones that are focused on the word count. You need to allocate a fixed amount of time and then get up when the time is up. And when you hear that statement, get up when the time is up, even if it's incomplete, it seems like you're letting yourself off the hook, because a fixed time doesn't generate quality. And in this case, it doesn't generate the right quantity as well, not the quantity you were looking for. However, the reality is different. If you know that you're stuck for that hour, or in Dan Brown's case, for 7 hours, then you realize that you're chained to your writing, no matter what. And surprisingly, a lot of writers get to 3/4, 4/5 of their journey. And it doesn't matter, because you can come back and you can fix it later, you can finish it later. But what if you're a different kind of writer? What if you're a writer who lives by words per day? Well, there is no fixed formula for writing. Some people choose hours and other people choose words per day. However, it depends on your skill level. Because if you're just starting out to write a blog or write a book or whatever you're doing, the words per day might become a bit of a dead weight. And here's what Gladwell has to say again. He says, I think you've set yourself up for disappointment. And he talks about his day and he says, if I can do a few good hours in the morning, then I've moved the ball for that day. If you're struggling with words per day, maybe you should try the method of fitting your writing to a specific time space. Not necessarily to a time in the day, not just in the morning or in the night, but to a few hours. Whether you write in the morning or evening or partially in the morning and then a bit in the evening, it doesn't matter as long as you're allocating that time in the day. If you've been struggling with your writing, if you've been struggling with the output, then try the process. And the process is have a fixed amount of time per day, and then when you're done, get up, take a walk, and be done with it. that brings us to the end of the podcast. So what's happening in Psychotactics land? There's just one thing, and that's on the 13th of July, you're going to have the headline course. So if you're not on the waiting list, then you can't get into the course, or at least it's a lot harder. So that's psychotactics.com/HL, which stands for headlines. It's a really fun course. Many, many years ago, almost 10 or 12 years ago, when I first started working on courses, a lot of the courses didn't necessarily have that precise result. And the headline course was the first one that became this kind of precursor, this foundational course that forced me to look at this result, which is what is the result that the client is going to get. And that's what you get with the headline course. You can write 8 different types of headlines in under 10 minutes. That's a superpower to have. It's so cool. So psychotactics.com/HL. That's me, Sean D'Souza, saying bye for now and see you in 5000 BC. Still listening? I've been writing this book for 10 years, I think. It's about talent. You probably heard about it many times over, but I'm having this same problem that a lot of people have, and that is, I need to finish this job. Now, in the process, I've finished a whole bunch of courses, like the info products course and writing the sales page course and all of these other things that, while not difficult, are, you could call it, relatively easier for me to do. And there are podcasts and so many other projects that are happening. But this one thing, this talent book, Suddenly Talented, that's not happening suddenly. And the reason for that is that I've got to put this process in place for myself, which is to sit down for a fixed amount of time every single day until it's done. And that's how I know it'll get done. So that's me giving you advice, and I have to take my own advice. I'll say bye for now. Bye-bye.